Hey, Bruce Naylor here, aka Frugal Tech, and if you want to be one of the first to be notified when I upload a new video, become a subscriber today. I upload content 2 to 3 times a week. Hey, I had some really good feedback and views on my Q&A video recently, and I thought I would do another one for you today. So I always get these great questions and comments in the channel, and this is kind of an opportunity to answer these. So the first question comes from 11K Wright, who writes, I have a Dell XPS 8700 with SLI, hyper-threading, etc., and costs much more. However, I'm by far not as savvy as you clearly are, and wonder how do I go about making videos with microphone audio. So I'm not sure whether I have a microphone audio on my computer, bought at the end of 2014. Sorry to be vague and possibly stupid, but wonder if you could help me, please. Not a U.S. citizen, UK. Thanks for any help you share. Now, look, no question is really stupid. So I'm more than happy to help you out with this. You would actually, you could actually record the audio through the microphone in of your XPS 8100 while you record the audio or the video, depending on what you're doing. But it's a lot easier to do that if you're doing some type of screencast. If you're making a video such as I am, a better way is to use the external microphone in on your camera and use a mic such as a Rode VidMic Pro, or I'm using a cheaper alternative called the Optica VM100. And those can just plug right into the camera and you can record the audio and video together. The downside is that still may pick up some lens or the lens body noise. And also, sometimes these cameras and camcorders have a noisy preamp. So what I typically do is actually record the audio separately into a digital recorder, and then I sync that up in post. And that's ideal. And as far as the microphone goes, and you can use a wire lav, and I have a Audio-Technica ATR33, I think it's the ATR3350 wired lav. But right now I'm using the Optica as my microphone. But you can do it that way. Using a microphone on your PC and recording video, that's, I think, would work well for voiceovers if you're doing a screencast type scenario. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, the next question comes from Danny Rockwell, who says, good video. I'm wondering if Apple will get back to making its own microprocessor like the PowerPC or use an AMD processor. It looks like AMD is getting better with the Carrizo chips or Zen chips. Do you think they will? And what are your thoughts on new AMD chips compared to Intel? For example, the 6th generation A10 for video gaming. Thanks again, and a lot for your videos in general. Very educational. Thank you for writing, Danny. Appreciate that. Two-part question, really 3 questions. No, I don't think Intel or Apple is going to make their own chips in the foreseeable future for their Macs, the Mac product line. I think they're going to stay with Intel for quite some time. You remember the transition from PowerPC to the Intel chips was quite a Herculean task for Apple to go through, and I think people are pretty well satisfied with Intel, their customers. Now, I'm not saying that that won't happen somewhere down the road, but I don't think so for the foreseeable future. Now, the second question is, do you think Apple would switch from Intel to AMD? Again, I don't think so. I think Apple enjoys a great relationship with Intel. Nothing wrong with AMD, but clearly the Intel, has a very predictable upgrade schedule, the tick-tock, and I think Apple generally is pretty well in sync with Intel on that, more so than AMD, who simply doesn't have the resources that that Intel has available. So I think for the foreseeable future, they're going to stick with Intel. Now about the new AMD like the A10, which is an APU accelerated processing unit, essentially a combination of CPU and GPU. Now this new version, I believe it's the 7890K, this is a chip that has 4 Bulldozer compute units and 8 GPU units. Yeah, 8 GPU. So it's a 4-core CPU with a octa-core GPU, giving it somewhere around the Radeon R700 series graphics, like a R7 250, something like that. This is for lower cost, say low cost Windows 10 desktops that can do decent gaming. We're not talking getting, tremendous frame rates out of, say, Thief, and high settings, but acceptable frame rates on most games, and it gives you a low budget build that you can do quite nicely. I think these are going to be somewhere around under $180 for this chip, and I think the TDP on it's like 95 watts. It's also going to 14 nanometer on these things, and they've been overclocked up to 4.5 gigahertz. And another cool thing is that they're going to use the same type of multi-threading in these that Intel does on their CPUs, and it also supports DirectX 12. So altogether, I think it's going to, for your value builders, your value PCs out there, I think it's going to be a wonderful chip. Moving along, Super Cool Mario asks, greatly enjoy your videos. Have you come across the Staingate issue with the Retina MacBook Pros? And it seems to be getting more and more traction. Now, I've used Macs for close to 10 years, and I feel a bit shell-shocked. I know an exaggeration, but that's how I feel after being with them for so long. How can Apple stay quiet for this so long? That's a really great question. I wish I had a good answer for you. But I think that Apple once again finds itself in a bit of hot water, and rather than coming forward and doing a recall on these machines, I guess they got their head in the sand a little bit on this. I think there's even a pending class action lawsuit on it, so I'm sure there's litigation going on this kind of thing. Fortunately, so far no problems with my MacBook Pro, and maybe it's something they've already addressed. I don't know, but Apple, in my opinion, should become should be forthcoming on whatever this issue is. And essentially, Staingate is people will go to clean their MacBook Retinas, and they'll actually see like these stains on the display itself, and that's just using normal cleaning solutions. And this is a problem, but it doesn't appear to be affecting everybody. But there's quite a number of people it's happened to, and they're not very happy about. These are very expensive laptops for something like that to be happening. The next is not a question, it's a comment. It comes from Greek God 41. Bruce, you're nothing but a brown-nosing shill for Microsoft and a sellout. Unsubscribe. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but look, first off, I'm not a shill. Microsoft has never reached out to me and said, hey, Bruce, can you say good stuff about Windows? No. You know what my channel is? I do a lot of technology analysis. When Windows 8, prior to Windows 8's launch, I said it would be a failure in the marketplace, and I was proven right. And now, with Windows 10, before it was released, I said it's going to be a big success. I think the market is proving me right on that. When Microsoft does something well, I'm going to bring that out. And 90% of the world runs Windows, right? I mean, 90% of the desktop operating systems out there is a Windows world for the most part. And I'm not going to ignore Windows. And when it's a great product, it's got its flaws. Two areas that I see: privacy, and also the various different ways you got to take care of updates. Some things through the Windows Store, some things through the Windows Update service. It's just, kind of flaky how all that doesn't really come together that well. But hopefully that will get addressed somewhere down the road. But I don't have any big major problems with Windows 10, and I think it's a great OS. And I want to share my experiences, which that's what I do on this channel. And so far, I find Windows 10 to be a pleasure to use, and it has been working just fine for me, and I share that with you. That doesn't make me a shill, it makes me an enthusiast. No more, no less. And the last question comes from Mike Pink Eye Painting Scott. Hey, how you doing, Mike? The question is Windows your day-to-day driver, or is the MacBook better for you? If so, why? Many thanks, Mike. Well, basically, in my office, I have two computers, right? I have the MacBook Pro, which is a video editing workstation and set up as such, and then I have my custom PC. The custom PC I spend most of my day on doing work or playing games because I use programs such as QuickBooks 2015 on there that works way better under Windows than it does on the MacBook Pro. There's Excel, there's all kinds of stuff that I do that just works better in the Windows environment for me than on the Mac. Now, even running parallels and virtual machines, because I already got this machine, I built it for gaming and video editing and work, all three. Now it turns out I fell in love with Final Cut Pro, So thus I stuck with having a Mac. But why not put it to work rather than just sitting there just for gaming only? If that makes any sense, maximize my investment in the two systems. Now the MacBook Pro is strictly geared towards content creation, and that's all I use it for, and it's great. And I'm very lucky to be in that position. Now, if I only had to have one or the other, it'd probably be the PC. The PC would be more versatile, in my opinion, than the MacBook Pro, strictly because of adding that gaming component to it, as well as, yes, I can edit video on this thing, and of course, I can do my work. So if I had to choose one or the other, it'd be the PC. MacBook Pro for content creation, the PC for everything else in my life runs on the PC. I hope that answers the question. And those are the questions today. And I want to wrap this up saying I did get a call from YouTube, and I talked to them for a few minutes, and they were impressed with the channel. But you know what they were most impressed with when it was all said and done was the community, you folks, and how you're engaging with me and how I'm engaging back with you. And they were very, very impressed. Might be a small channel, but we're small but mighty. And I got some great people that are viewers of this channel. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching my video. Take care, everybody.